Good morning, everyone. Oh, is that all the energy we have today? Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Oh, whoever said it, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, happy Thursday, a little different day for us than we normally meet, and also a little different order up here because we wanted to mix things up on you so you could start left to right or right to left. Just teasing, right? Having a little bit of fun. Diana, would you call us to order, please?
Commissioner Ashworth?
Here.
Commissioner Banks?
Here.
Commissioner Hassler?
Here.
Commissioner Schwern? Here.
Great, thank you. If you would rise and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you very much. Welcome to summer. It's hard to believe it officially starts, what, 5-6 days next Tuesday? Is that when it is? Wednesday? Hard to believe. We hope you all will find time for family and friends and hopefully a little bit of decompression time and de-stress time. And it started off last week in a way with the barbecue up at Earth City, which some of the videos we've seen, unfortunately, a couple of us couldn't attend, but sounds like it was a really good day. So happy summer. All right, we will jump right in if everyone's okay with that. Anything from an open discussion standpoint? Soon to be Officer Hunt, would you join us up front here, please? We have the privilege of swearing you in with your oath. So if you'll come up just a little bit closer. And our first response to you would be take a deep breath, right? Everybody's looking at you, but it's not a big deal. All you have to do is listen and respond. So we're going to go through the oath, and then afterwards, there's one little extra paragraph we need to read to you. Is that okay? All right, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Danielle Hunt, solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States and a resident of the state of Missouri. That I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States. That the state of Missouri and the charter and ordinances of St. Louis County. That I will faithfully adhere to the regulations provided in the rules and procedures for deputization as adopted by St. Louis County. And that I will faithfully demean myself as a deputized officer of the St. Louis County Police. So help me God. Congratulations. Remember, we got one more paragraph to do there. Thanks for treating this as a profession. So this is the authority on the WashU campus, right? So as a deputized officer of St. Louis County, your authority is restricted to the protection of persons and property on the Washington University campus. Wonderful. Thank you very much. It's just wonderful. It's great to have you aboard. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rob. Welcome to the group. Chief, we'll turn it over to you. You've got some awards and things to do.
Yes, I do. I have a few awards, one promotion to get. Can you hear me, Jennifer? Better? Okay, good. Police Officer Andrew Topolsky is going to be presented with a life-saving award. Captain Snyder, would you come up and do the honors?
Working the mic? Oh, I don't have to stand that close. Chief, ladies and gentlemen, I promised Mr. and Mrs. Topolsky I would do the best I could with explaining just how impressive this life-saving award is. All right, so first of all, Officer Topolsky, affectionately known as Topper in the 4th Precinct, is a Marine and Afghanistan veteran, and he's went through several trainings in combat life-saving. So he also owns his own extensive trauma kits, and he's trained his unit in the use of these trauma kits, especially a vented chest seal. So November of 2022, Officer Topolsky gets a call for an individual who has stabbed himself twice in a domestic disturbance. And, it's night, and, Topolsky rolls up at Rebus Barracks and Telegraph. And this guy is covered in blood. And he doesn't know if he's armed and everything. And Topper is able to get him to lay down. He retrieves his kit that he has made on the side of his belt. And he ends up packing this wound at the base of the neck and the chest, where all this blood is coming out of his mouth. And he ends up packing it down to where the individual's airway is not crushed down, but he's also able to apply a serious pressure bandage on the neck with also the support of his body weight to stop this bleeding. Do you cut his shirt off or you take it off? We'll just go with cut. He cuts the guy's shirt off and performs what is known as a blood sweep. And in this blood sweep, he finds a sucking chest wound. At that point, he realizes that he has that piece of equipment in the car, and an officer, coincidentally rolls up at the same time, and he says, "Hey, behind my driver's seat, I got this vented chest seal bag." So he runs that over to him and gets this vented chest seal on him and maintains pressure on this guy until the ambulance gets there. The ambulance, later interviewed, said, "We were extremely impressed with the fact that he had applied all of these correct measures in the proper way, and without a doubt saved this guy, or he would have bled out before we got here." So I'm very proud of him. The chief's very proud of him. Board of Police Commissioners is very proud of him. And I'm sure your mom and dad are very proud of you as well. Congratulations, buddies. Yeah, if anybody knows anybody in TAC, he's looking to get into TAC.
Hey, Andrew. Oh, I'm gonna say him.
Get them all, sir.
We don't want to leave Diane. Got anybody here with you today?
My parents, I do so.
Stand up, and we'll give you guys a hand off.
Wow, that's a hard one.
Next up, receiving a Purple Heart is Police Officer Alana Hester. Alana, you want to come up? Captain Means? Here, Alana, we're going to give you that.
Members of the board, chief, ladies and gentlemen, on March 27th of 2022, Officer Hester got a call for an individual who was walking in and out of traffic on Highway 21. Upon her arrival, she tried to contact the individual, but he was very combative about getting in and out of traffic. So she maintained her distance for a minute till she can get in traffic and get through traffic to get over to him. At that time, she knew who this individual was. He had active warrants. So at the time, she was going to try to arrest him. But one thing about her, she's very knowledgeable about what she does before approaching a suspect. She observed a knife in his right hand. So she backed up and she observed him that he was going to try to run to the left or to the right side. So he stumbled and fell, which at that time, she was able to gain control of that right hand and have him release the grip that he had on the knife. During that struggle, she severely injured her right hand, but she was able to still control this individual until the officers arrived to effect the arrest. And one good thing about that is that she never gave up. She kept fighting, and she was able to get this person off the street. During that struggle and that arrest, she had to convey herself to the emergency room to actually take a look at her hand. She didn't know it was hurt at first, but it was severely injured. So looking at the medical staffs and what they said is that she had several fully torn ligaments in that right hand, and it was going to require extensive rehab and surgery. But as you can look and see today, she's a tough officer. She made it through that surgery and that rehab. And today, she's well deserving of this award. I love working with her, and I see a lot of things that she does on a positive daily basis. And I just want to thank you for doing what you do and continue to work. And I'm glad that your hand is fully operational again and you're back to work. So she did a great job, and she's well deserving of this award.
Okay, shake your hand, right? Well done.
Also have this for you. Everybody see this is your medal for what you've done, proud of what you've done, glad you recovered. Hands doing okay. Nobody's shaking it too hard. Good enough. That's yours. Anybody here with you today? Yeah, my family. All three of those ladies right there. You want to stand up? I have a certificate of promotion for Ms. Jamie Pizzoni. Jamie, want to come up? Come on over here. Janie's being promoted to Supply Contracts Administrator. So you sign off on all our travel packages, is that what you do? I can. We appreciate it. Well, congratulations, Jamie. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Jamie, got anybody here with you today?
Just my BSU gang, the honorary mention of Jim Holland.
Great guys. We know them well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, picture. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. We like those. Moving to your chief's report.
Chief's report, first up, we have Terry, do the budget.
You know what, Chief? Dr. Hassler just mentioned we may want to release the people who, so they don't have to sit through the nuts and bolts of this.
We're getting ready to get into the business of the meeting. I mean, if you're looking for some.
Oh, thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
But we have to stay. Yeah. We should all get up sometime. Oh, no.
All right, before we get in now, are you a little more relaxed this time, or are
No.
you just as nervous?
I don't get better either. Well, I'm better than the very first time, I guess. Okay, we'll start with the 2023 budget. I feel like I don't tell you guys anything different. We're still okay, which I guess is good. We're still hanging in there with the 7 million cut that we had. So I'm projecting a 4.5 shortage in OT overtime, and then payouts right now are 200,000. Excuse me. Yeah, I am nervous. Okay. 200,000 short right now. I'm good. Thank you. 200,000 short right now. So that's only going to get worse by the end of the year. I'm kind of thinking 1.5 million. So I guess so that was through June 7th paychecks. So we're almost halfway there. So again, holding steady. So for the 2024 budget.
Gary, can we interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
You went
Oh,
to the
yeah,
things that
sorry.
were on overages, but we're going to be short on base compensation to offset the overtime.
Yeah,
When
but
you look
all
at those
the
together-
surpluses will cover it, the surplus in salaries, surpluses that we think right now infringes. You know, that can change because county government dictates that, so. Okay, anything else with that?
So when you, as you do this somewhat mid-year forecast, what's
Yeah.
the overall overage or surplus look like? Do you have a feel?
Like, like
Okay.
if it all stays the same, about 400,000.
Surplus?
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, that seems really low to me. That scares me. But, okay, so for the 2024 budget, it is due July 7th. The instructions have been, it's a maintenance budget. So current services, no additional people, no additional programs. So like we can do increases in, maintenance and, if there's classes, training, anything like that that is going to continue our current services. We can add that to it, but we can't add any people and anything new. And we will have a meeting, the chief has a meeting, and myself, with them the week of August 7th to 10th. They haven't picked a date yet. So we'll have feedback because the budget will already have been turned in. So we'll have feedback then. But that is really it.
So maintenance budget, you talked about
Yeah.
nothing else added, nothing else taken away, just
No.
the maintenance budget.
No.
When you say maintenance budget, does that include the fact that expenses are going up?
Yes.
Okay.
They specifically said that, and it also includes like the raises and things like that with the CBA, which they'll figure all that out too. They'll enter it in there. They told me not to do anything with it, and then it'll get added at the end. So right now, it's just the operational accounts.
Do we have a good basis for projecting what operational expenses are going to be?
Well, so I send them out to everybody for them to give their input, because mostly, if the director or the colonel, they'll know what, computer equipment will all go through our IT, but they'll know different, like if they need a training trip, or if office supplies, if they were short, or any kind of building equipment maintenance, or anything of that nature. So I let them put it in there, but I also, in our unit, we kind of go through what we've paid. We'll mark it, like I'll mark in the budget during the year if something comes up that wasn't budgeted that we know is going to be reoccurring. So we just kind of, between them and us, I guess is the best way to say it. But we don't just do a standard like 3% or anything like that. We actually look at actuals. Nothing?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Take a
Thank
breath.
you.
Terry,
Yes.
meeting that's coming up, and what kind of concerns me, and we're the only department they want to meet face to face.
I agree. I thought that was interesting.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, because last year we did not meet face-to-face. They can do virtual or face-to-face
Step
meetings.
up for the mic.
Sorry. Virtual or face-to-face meetings, and they actually requested us to be face-to-face in person. They just like you.
Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, thank you.
Brian Stacks, Captain Show.
Good morning.
Yep.
Sorry to have missed last month being on a CLIA conference, but I understand that Allie did a fantastic job. Let me go ahead and get this on the board and we will roll through these. All right, here we are. All right, so as always, we start with our internal affairs numbers. The citizen complaints, we'll start there. So obviously up 80% year to date from last year. Last month, however, we were up 133%. And we're obviously dealing with some smaller numbers, still down from the 2021. Only 2 complaints were received in all of May for this year. On the internal investigations, that's obviously a good number, down almost 27%, but not a whole lot to note there. Use of force incidents up 46.2 compared to this time last year. If you remember, we started in January, 70% over. So we have continued to actually lessen that gap each month. Last month when Allie presented them, we were up 56%. So now down to 46. 66% of all use of force last month were from physical restraint, and that number year to date on physical restraint is 74%. Department vehicle accidents up 30.3, but again, same thing. We started January 60% high. So we had 23 accidents in May, which was actually the highest month this year. But initial investigations from BPS show that 27% year-to-date versus 40% year-to-date last year shows that the employee was not at fault, meaning that more circumstances to date have been, quote unquote, out of the officer's control. On vehicle pursuits, obviously that's a massive number, 147. But again, same thing. I know that the numbers are still big, but they're starting to slowly but surely regress back to the mean. So we continue to lessen that gap. March was actually up 300%, so just 2 months ago. And April was 166.7. We only had 9 pursuits last month. That's even with the 262 documented failure to yields. So that means we initiated pursuits only 3.4% of the times on vehicles that failed to yield us. 80% of the pursuits year to date have started in either North County or Jennings. All the initial investigation from BPS, again, shows that all of the 42 pursuits that have been initiated, this is good, have, at least on the initial investigation, have showed that the officers were in the right following policy when they initiated those. And again, the increase in pursuits, we're probably going to see, again, the numbers coming down to what it was, but we're going to see higher numbers because of the additional days of the Violent Crime Initiative, as well as all the precincts doing their special enforcements as well.
Before you turn, question?
I have a question. On the use of force incidents, I understand that we're getting closer to the mean, but that number is still,
High.
to me, concerningly high. So I was wondering, do you have any insight into like the corresponding metrics?
Yeah, so
What's causing it?
I appreciate you asking that. And I was actually going to get into that after we talked about failure to yields, but I'll do that now. So the concerning thing for me is that we're seeing more people either fleeing from or showing aggression or fighting the police this year than we have in the previous 2 years. So for instance, I had Allie take a look at the last 3 years because that's what we go over year to date. And here's what we've shown from citizen resistance towards our officers. Physical aggression, in 2021, there was 22 times where somebody showed physical aggression, 29 times in 22, and 49 times this year. When we talk about people running from the police and fleeing on foot, 2021 and 2022 showed 28 people fleeing from the police. This year it's 52. Non-compliance, so somebody just not complying with verbal orders, and that's usually where a lot of your physical restraints come in. Somebody has to grab an arm, things of that nature. Non-compliance in 21 was 56 people. Non-compliance in 22 was 58. Non-compliance this year is 95. We had not seen over the last 2 years anyone try to bite our police officers. However, 4 people this year have attempted to bite police officers. Active resistance also is shooting up. 77 in 21, 79 in 22, 116 in 2023. Assaults, luckily, even though we're up, are not as up as much as everything else, but that was 24 in 2021, 23 last year, and 27 this year. Another one is passive resistance. Year to date in 21 was 31, 22 showed 20, this year 45. And then the most concerning one, the use of a deadly weapon against our officers. Each of the last 2 years showed 2 year to date. This year we've had 10. So again, the highest numbers are in active resistance, noncompliance, fleeing, physical aggression, and passive resistance. The assault and deadly weapon, both relatively low, obviously, on the numbers, meaning 27 and 10. Although deadly weapon obviously has increased 400% over the last 2 years. So we also pulled the employee injured during the incident numbers, obviously, since we have 171 incidents as compared to 117. Luckily, those numbers aren't up exponentially. Last year, we had 22 officers injured, and this year we've had 33. Now, understand, without going through, and we don't have access to, obviously, in-depth BPS files other than just the pure statistics themselves, but injury could mean anything from very, very minor to fatal. We've had no fatal, obviously. God willing, we never do again. But you know, a sprained finger would go into the category of that 33. So Just wanted to touch quickly as well on that number of 10 on the deadly weapons used against police. So 4 have involved firearms, either flourishing officers while fleeing on foot or in vehicle pursuits or firing at officers. 3 have involved a knife or cutting instrument. One person, it went down as a deadly weapon because they tried to unholster a firearm from the police officer. 1 involves a vehicle, and then 1 we're unsure of because it's just as unknown. It has not had the narrative entered into that BPS, which I would assume that that's recent, but again, I don't have full access to that. So when we look, I give you the context of all of that to say that they're up 46.2. Is it concerning? Maybe just if we don't take and put context in the numbers, but understanding that for whatever reason, and clearly just looking at the failure to yields that we've now looked at for, a year and a half, the audacity of people to just not obey a police officer's commands, that to me is what's startling.
Have you looked at these numbers in comparison? Well, I guess before I ask that, are these stats kept and available beyond St. Louis County? Can we compare them to other regions?
Well, that would be going, so you just take ours. We don't keep any other, what is there, 53 other police departments or, something close to that. We don't keep their stats. Our IA Pro system, Blue Team system, which is what houses the administrative reviews from any type of use of force, pursuit, vehicle accident, things of that nature, internal investigations. Those are just for our department.
Do you have any sense if this is a St. Louis County specific trend, or is this, are we seeing this on a national level?
Yeah, I'm not going to obviously BS you and say that we've looked into it. We will. I would be shocked if it wasn't on a national level and it was only occurring here.
Thank you.
Thanks for the giving us some insight into those numbers. Are they consistent, the firearms and the resistance and the non-compliance consistent with 1st Precinct and Jennings in terms of areas?
Yes. Yes.
So
the majority of those are going to come out of there. Obviously, we're more violent crime, more policemen responding to violent type of calls. Yes, we obviously see a higher.
So they're consistent with the failure yields where they happen?
That's absolutely correct.
Got it.
So moving on to the failure to yields, 1467 year to date. Of course, we have the asterisk on 22 because we didn't begin tracking those until February, so we miss an entire month in 22. But our failure to yield data here in our heat map obviously shows most of it occurring in the north area, and then obviously a high concentration down in South County around the Lima area. So 262 failure to yields in May alone. 75%, so 3/4 of all failure to yields have occurred in either the North County precinct, the Jennings precinct, or the South County precinct. So when we move on to our highlights where we have the arrests, gun seized, and DWIs, arrests increased from last month up to 854. Guns seized, excellent work by many folks, but obviously the Violent Crime Initiative and these special enforcements take a lot of guns off the street. We had 121 guns seized in May as compared to 94 last month. And then DWIs, of the 60, 40 were from highway safety, so 66, 67% of those from our highway safety folks. When we get into the actual crime data, homicides were dangerously now close. We were down, 5, 6 over the last few months for a while, but I know that these don't reflect June numbers, but without asking somebody behind me, it's a moot point right now, but I believe that we've already had 3, 4, 5 this month, so those numbers are continuing to rise. The kidnapping and abduction obviously kind of jumps out. Again, smaller numbers overall, but we talked to our domestic violence folks, and they told us that they're getting a lot more warrants issued this year for domestic kidnappings. So all of these the increase has been from domestic kidnappings, adults, not children. When we look at the aggravated assaults, the number that jumps out to me is the by hands, feet, or fists. Once again, the DV folks said that most of these are related to domestic type of incidents. The good thing is we've had less aggravated assaults with firearms, and overall, we're holding steady, the 589 to 597, so up just over 1% year-to-date from last year. Any other questions on persons?
Go ahead.
No, please.
Is the human trafficking, was that 19 separate incidents?
No, so thank you. That was 6 total reports. All of these are investigated by our Bureau of Special Investigations. 5 of them they received on cyber tips that resulted in 9 of the 19 arrests. And then the other was 1 report where there was 10 arrests made. BSI did an investigation with federal partners, and a lot of investigation went into it, resulting in a human trafficking ring that led to 10 arrests.
So the other comment is just that I'm going to go back to the earlier conversation about the growing violence toward officers. I'm going to put that in an inconspicuous thing called assault and compare it to what's going on in society. So society is inherently flat, up slightly, but it's double increase on roughly, right? Loosely with some of the numbers on officers.
Right. That's right.
Thank you.
So our infographs that we put up here, total homicide. So again, just comparing the difference, these infographs are what our crimes against persons investigates. The previous numbers, these are from just in St. Louis County and our contracts. So that's why the total homicides year to date is 26 investigated by crimes against persons.
Before you move, it's a generic, general question. When you look at some of the underlying stats, the ages of victims, the age of the perpetrators, whatever it might be, are those relatively consistent year over year over year? Let's just pick one, right? So on homicide, St. Louis County and contracted areas, average age of the victims, 38.8, average age of the suspect is 38.7. Is that just coincidental that they're almost identical? Is that same as what it's been in years past, loosely? Do we have a feel for whether there's other societal changes going on that aren't captured in just the high-level numbers?
No. Yes, we would know that, and I say we as a department. I don't know that. Again, something that I can absolutely get over the last few years. If those numbers are consistent, our crimes against persons people who obviously do a fantastic job would definitely know that. I've just never asked the question, nor have I ever been a part of the Bureau.
Yeah, thank you. And again, it's less about the actual numbers. Are there numbers below the numbers that give us some feel of what might be going on?
Sure, and my assumption, again, would be probably that they're going to be, but I don't want to say yes and then have it, last year it shows that the average age of the victim was 48. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I know it drill down and maybe we find something else going on in society that helps us police differently. Very
Sure.
good. Thank you.
All right, for property, so robberies with other dangerous weapons. So again, low number, but jumps out if you just look at the percent change, the 100. We looked, Allie and Abby looked into some reports. Things like bats were used, a car in 2 instances, a pole. But those are up 100%, but overall robberies down 2.1%. Again, we always talk about these, so I'll talk about them again, but motor vehicle thefts, overall still up because of Kias and Hyundais, although those are coming down. Thefts of Kias and Hyundais are up 415% year to date, while thefts of all other vehicle makes are combined are down 30%. So April was up 42.5%, and it's now fallen to that 32.4%. So every month in 2023, at least, we've seen it start to come back.
Is that because we're doing things differently, or because we've sort of hit the peak and there are only so many people in the county that are willing to steal cars and we've gotten to that?
It's probably a plethora of things. Of course, I'm going to toot the horns of the officers out there who do a fantastic job, the VCI, the special enforcements. But I don't, without going into too much detail, obviously just watching the news, I know that Kia and Hyundai at least did some recalls on their cars and started to do their ignition systems differently. I'm sure that there's a lot of factors. I know that they have made arrests, our auto theft unit, on multiple individuals who may be responsible for some of these. So as those things happen and people are actually incarcerated, then numbers start to come down. So I think that it's a plethora of things.
It's interesting if you just go to the sum of the total, if you take out the additional 225 or so motor vehicle thefts, 2% is not a big number, but it is an increase. If you take out that 225 motor vehicle thefts, we're actually down on crimes against property overall.
Absolutely. That's right. For society, again, not a whole lot to note. Narcotics violations continue to go down each month. The law change. The one thing that I want to highlight, and I try to every time, because again, this is, crimes against society are really dictated off of the work of the officers. It's a lot of self-initiated types of things, but the DWIs being up 42%, almost 41%. 292 year-to-date total, 70% of those year-to-date DWIs from highway safety. So they're out and about and getting things done.
We're all thankful that they're taking people like that off the streets, at least as much as they can.
So when you talk about trespassing, what are we saying? Are we breaking and entering? What is it?
No, well, trespassing could mean a few things, but when you're talking about breaking and entering that would, into a structure, that would be a burglary. Trespassing on somebody else's property that they're not supposed to. I know that Ally has actually looked at that. Like some of the, I think county ordinance calls it a trespassing if you enter onto property carrying concealed when it's not, when you're not supposed to be. So there's a lot of things, but breaking into an actual building would fall under the burglary category.
So if somebody walked across my lawn,
Yeah, and you told them to get off?
you're right,
Yep,
okay.
they're trespassing.
Okay.
Calls for service. Again, this is definitely not an outlier. This is every year. As May comes around, we're going to start to see those numbers rise. So every precinct was above their moving average over the last 5 months. And then the self-initiated, the thing I want to point out here is even though everybody is up, and you know where I'm going with directed calls, that the guys and gals are out there doing just unbelievable work to continue. Usually you would see the directed calls go up and the self-initiated would fall, but doing great work to keep those numbers up, and a lot of the precincts are actually over their moving average, which is very good. Top calls. And then our TSR data, the review committee met last month, and where there were no outliers as far as individual officers or units. So but obviously the TSR review committee will continue to meet on a quarterly basis and discuss those numbers. And if there's a concern, then we will bring that to your attention. And then the last thing that I have, which is, I know that I wasn't here, but I know that there was a question asked about overtime last month. Is that accurate? So Ally put together a few slides just to show overtime hours over the last few years. And I wasn't here, so I don't know the context of the comment, but I believe it had to do with possibly patrol and their 12-hour shift staffing versus 10s. Is that accurate? So overall, obviously for divisions, you can see where patrol falls in there with an overall of 47,000. But the majority of our overtime is derived out of operational support, and obviously criminal investigation is higher than the division of patrol, even though patrol is far and away the largest division. You go to the next slide. So I've got.
Seems counterintuitive. Sorry.
Yep.
It's the largest division, as you said, and yet it has historically been either second or third on the amount of overtime.
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive.
Well, I'll explain why.
Thank you.
That chart you just showed was,
This one?
yeah, raw number of hours of
That's right.
overtime. Okay.
That's correct. So I don't have the dollars or anything like that, but the raw numbers. So take operational support here, where we see the biggest numbers, communications and security services. So some of the notes that I have. So they've been, operational support has been the highest in the last 3 years. Obviously, patrol and criminal investigation had more so far this year, if you noticed from this slide. But here, so on operational support, for instance, and communications, this is about communications overtime altogether. So when you understand that dispatchers have been working mandatory overtime shifts, that's where those numbers go extremely high. I think, again, the context of the question from last month was about the staffing. Are we seeing more? And I'll explain, no, we're not here on patrol in a second, but I wanted you to understand where the majority of our overtime is coming from. It's the same with security services. So we're paying a lot of staffing to fill shifts. For communications, so communications overtime is also included in this. So for instance, if we have a police officer who also had been a dispatcher, so knows that world, on their off days, they can volunteer and work overtime in communications. That is all in this number
And where does that get reported then? In which division?
through operational support.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Yep, sorry.
hold on. You got new data, new questions.
Yep.
Are they paid based on a communications rate, or are they paid based on their?
I believe they're paid based on their rate.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you. Before you change one more, the year over year that we see, is that whatever we have through May year over year, or is 2021 and 22 full year numbers and 23 is through May?
No, I'm sorry. It's everything
They're
is
all
changed.
in May
Yes,
through
yes,
May. All right,
yes.
so that we are looking at
Comparing,
comparables.
yes, yep.
Can you go back to the slide?
Yep.
So as you go through the conversation, are there correlations, right? So if you look at how, as we've, particularly 22 to 23 with the significant increase in overtime, a lot of that, when you get there, will be related to the 12-hour shifts, but you can see other things going on. What I'm looking for, are there correlations between these numbers, AKA as operational support comes down, patrol goes up? Or not just because it's shown on the chart, but is one prefacing the other?
No.
So they're all mutually exclusive. They're acting independently.
Yeah, well, and especially when you talk about patrol. So, and what you'll see here in 2 slides is, I know that it looks like, so if we go from 11 to 10 to 12 to 13, so a gradual increase, and you would just think, well, maybe that's due to staffing. It's actually not.
Okay. Maybe
So-
we should shut up and let you get through your presentation.
Oh, it's all-
Then I'll ask questions. I'm sorry.
Let me get actually to those slides here. All right, and one more thing. So going back to operational support, again, to give it more context. So 88% of all operational support overtime is for staffing reasons. If you see other there, that includes things like the emergency communications network, OEM, admin, vehicle supply. When we go to patrol, so this is overall, all overtime in the division of patrol. So again, if you just take the North County precinct, which is the largest from 2023. So we had 2,867 hours of overtime in the North County precinct. Then I'm going to go to the next slide, and you're going to see this is for staffing. 715 hours of the 2,867 was for staffing reasons. All of the other is for things like late calls, court, warrant application, training, actual training of police officers, but also field training, South and North Court that our folks work, things of that nature, all falls under that. So the reason that I tell you that is because when we look at this, so we're going to take North County again. 2020, we paid out, this is staffing, 1,754 hours for staffing. 2021, 1,007 hours in staffing. In 2022, we made the shift in the North County precinct to go to 12-hour shifts. We have paid out 487 hours and 715 this year. So clearly less. Again, then you take a precinct like the 3rd precinct, who last year under 10-hour shifts in 2022, they were still under 10s. Staffing reasons showed 721 hours, and this year, just under 300. So again, the majority of the overtime is not because of staffing purposes in the Division of Patrol. In operational support, it is. But in the Division of Patrol, the 12-hour shifts have not seen a spike in overtime because of staffing reasons. It would be because of the other things, the late calls, the court warrant application, things like that.
So you can go back a slide.
Yep.
It's going to be a touchy question, but my interpretation, how I scan and interpret this, is everything looks kind of the way you would expect it to based on size and what we understand to be busyness. The one that jumps out is West County.
Right here
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
on the 2709.
On the 6862 total, but the 2709, correct. It's
Okay.
the second highest overtime that we have of all the precincts.
Right. And so again, without breaking down that individual precinct, it'd be hard for me to say, but everything else would fall into one of those other categories. So again, I'm just going to take the 2709 for this current year. 359 of those were for staffing. So everything else. Now,
That's the driver of the question. And what's
Yeah.
everything else that caused it to be the second highest precinct that we have?
again, without knowing their officers, maybe they have a plethora of officers who work the south or north end courts. I don't know. Late calls probably wouldn't be at there, court appearances, things of that nature. But we can definitely look into that for you for sure. Any other questions?
Are you done?
I'm done, yes.
Any other questions? Sorry, that
Sorry about that.
was
Yeah,
a
that's the-
self-regulation to me. Stop
Yeah.
asking questions till the man's done.
So for 2020, 2021, and 2022, do you have the data broken out by month?
We did not break it down by month, but again,
I'm
could.
just asking, is the data available?
Yes,
by
oh
month?
yes.
Thank you for putting this together for us. As you can tell with all our questions, we find it intriguing both for our understanding, but obviously for our role too. So thank you for you and your team for digging it out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
In reference to the, I'm assuming, Commissioner, you might have asked that question about the West County precinct. We all know that's pretty slow precinct.
That's why I asked.
That's why you asked.
No, well, that's a perception. I don't know whether that's accurate.
Exactly, perception. That's why you're asking. Assisting the captain out, Colonel Law just helped me with something that's going on. There's a big annexation going on out there in the West County precinct. So a lot of those officers are doing a lot of overtime on Saturdays and Sundays, knocking on people's doors, trying to encourage them not to annex with Manchester. So that might be one of the other reasons that number is so high.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Update on human resources. Captain Morgan has been the acting commander of human resources. He's done an outstanding job since he's been there. He's going to do his job for us today. Captain.
Good morning. Morgan, so this is about to be initiation, right? Knowing that you've been there for 3 weeks, and you have learned everything there is to know about the place. We're going to pepper you with questions left and right.
I was smart enough not to bring any PowerPoint. And they also told me that this wasn't an interview for the HR position, so I should be okay.
Honestly.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually been considered for any job that has an H or an R in it, so I think I should be okay. So we'll start with the commission staff, the vacancies. Currently, that number rides at 123 vacancies in that position. You will note that these numbers are different than they've been reported in the past. As an effort of trying to be more accurate and forthcoming on what our numbers are for the chief, historically, these numbers have included individuals actually in the academy or potentially that would be in the academy. So that number was slightly lower. So the 123 is accurate. You will see that going forward, that number will consistently be more real-time information. And as we have class 207 that's graduating on Thursday, the 22nd at 6:30. That's at Merritt's, 1400 South Highway Drive in Fenton. There'll be 13 of those officers will come off of that number that will push us down to the 110 number, which is more representative to where we are today. Further on that, for the graduation, 25 officers will be graduating. Again, I already stated that there are 13 that are county. There's actually one open enrollment, and as Mr. Becker stated last meeting, that open enrollment person is not eligible to be hired by St. Louis County at this time. Class 208 is set to start on June 26th. There are 35 recruits in that class, 11 of which are county. There are 3 open enrollment in that class as well. So we look forward to seeing if any of those can also be added to our 11 that are currently in there. May saw 13 new applications come through. Those applications are in various points of the hiring process at this time. Officer Shelton is currently initiating a roll call visit with the precincts to kind of remind officers about that $800 and $1,000 incentive for referring non-experienced and experienced applicants to the department. I'm not sure exactly where he is on that as far as that process goes, but that is something that has been started. You may have heard us talk about the pre-recruit initiatives that we are been running related to PT sessions, as well as hiring persons that are going to the academy ahead of time to kind of onboard them, get them used to the department, and give them a firsthand experience of what the academy may present. That is going very successfully. As it relates to the PT sessions, those are being held on Wednesday. Again, those are voluntary. These are opened up for individuals who had a difficult time with the PT assessment. So they are able to come down, work out with 2 of the staff. One of the staff is from the academy, and the other one is, again, Michael Shelton from recruiting. And that is to help them get through that PT session. And then the pre-recruit hiring aspect of that is, we offer them the opportunity to kind of see what's going on in the department beforehand. There is a PT component in that. They are allowed 2 days to do that, so a little bit more than the recruitment, the PT recruitment initiative. But they get 2 days, which is Tuesday and Thursday. I'm happy to report that one of the current officers that is in class 207 participated in that session and is the best overall. So that program is actually working. We've had some very initial conversations on trying to make the hiring aspect of it more defined, so we can present it as an actual project and it goes forward. We will do that in the coming weeks, and hopefully I can report on the success of that. When we look at the pro staff aspect of things, there are 42 vacancies there. The PSD Academy Class 18, it currently has 5 dispatchers in it. They are set to graduate on Friday, June the 30th. The vacancies, again, for the pro staff side of things, rely on both the same 2 areas. It's going to be the Bureau of Security Services and Communications. There's 15 and 14, respectfully, that are missing vacancies in those 2 areas. May saw 8 new applicants for the position of security officer. 45 applied for dispatcher. It's important to note that communications is actually starting to test people on the skills aspect of things ahead of time to kind of preserve some time. Unfortunately, 22 of the 45 failed that process. And that's going to save us some time and get us kind of deep rooted in the people that can actually do the position and get us moving on to get people in the seats that can be a part of the program. So our MBQs for May, there were 23 MBQs. Again, those numbers seem to be driven by, people who are submitting, not admitting their criminal behavior or activities that they had prior to the application time. It is very clear on the application that it says if you've ever been interviewed, stopped, or investigated by law enforcement, you should check yes and then divulge what that is. A lot of times they're not doing that, and the background investigators are finding those things in their background investigation. That's why that number is high as it is. And then there were 16 voluntary withdrawals. I personally have not looked at those to see what those withdrawals were for. I don't know what the language in those withdrawals were, but I can tell you in June, it was more or less that individuals have either decided to go with a different agency or they're deciding to not do that particular position, seek that position any further. And then I just had
Can I
one.
stop you with one
Sure.
question? So if somebody in their, however long their history is, has been stopped by the police for any circumstance, they would check yes.
For investigative purposes.
investigative
So some type of
purposes,
criminal
okay.
investigation,
So-
not like so traffic tickets and stuff like that, that is captured or memorialized in a different section of the application. If you've had any tickets or things like that, you would
Okay.
divulge that in a different portion of the application, if I'm understanding correctly. This is more related to criminal investigations. If you have those type of things in your history, you should tell us ahead of time. A lot of times people just don't remember, or we see that individuals are getting those expunged through the normal process, and then they don't tell us that, which unfortunately in their mind, they think it's expunged. It doesn't need to be told. But for us, we need to know that. And it's just a understanding of the process. And I think for the next director, which is not me, that's something that they're going to have to actually do a deep dive and find out if that particular question needs to be changed, reworded, or highlighted in some shape, form, or fashion. Any other questions on that?
Other questions, but maybe not on that.
Okay, I knew you were going to give me at least one. So the only update that I had is the First Forum partnership that they talked about last time. That is still going strong. There is a waiting list, but they were successful enough to get another class scheduled. They completed that yesterday, and it looks like that First Forum has decided that they will try to accommodate us every month, but they cannot guarantee that. Obviously, that is a very large organization, but they're going to continue to put classes on throughout 2023. And as we do that, we'll get the list down, and hopefully everybody can participate that would like to. And the last part of that is we still have staff that are training to be certified in health and nutrition. There are currently 2 at this time. And once they have completed that certification, they will be available for teaching the recruits as well as individuals in the department as they need those health concerns. And then I know you got questions, and I don't even have a PowerPoint.
Other questions? First, as a comment, thank you for helping us understand the difference in numbers. Obviously, 99 or whatever the numbers were concerning 123. It's just a different number. It's the same issue, but thank you for uncovering the issue and helping us understand it a little bit more. We still look for how we bring that number down, but we know we're all working on that, particularly your unit. By the way, you seem awful certain you're not going to get this HR role.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty certain of that.
I think
Pretty certain.
we have the board has a nomination for HR.
So moved.
Well, so unfortunately, I would have to give up my commission to do that, and I have 5.5 years. I am going to
We
get
will
that
certainly never do
retirement.
that to you.
Yes.
Yet. Secondly, on the numbers of candidates that are going into the academy as new recruits.
Yes, sir.
It's only perception, but that's a bit of the question for you. It seems like the numbers are slowly ticking up on people are going in, because I can remember there were months where there were maybe 20 or 22 or 25 people going in the last couple of months. It's been 30, 35, and I think you said what, 30,
35 in the next
35.
class, yes, sir.
So those numbers seem to be ticking up a little bit, which is an overall good thing, but our percentage of that doesn't seem to be getting higher. In fact, it seems to be getting smaller. And the question is, one, is that true? And if so, why? In other words, why are they choosing other departments to go to work with when we have so much more to offer?
Using my vast knowledge in HR, I would say that is, no, I'm not sure why that number is ticking. I really don't. I do know that the municipalities are starting to go to putting officers in the academy class versus hiring experience, because the pool of applicants is smaller on the experience side than it is in the new recruit. So that may be part of that number. As far as why there's only 11, 10, 9 county officers, my vast knowledge in HR has not led me to that answer yet, but I can definitely look into it, sir.
If you
and
would,
get
if
that to
you could just give us a feel for if that's going on, why that's going on.
Yes, sir.
Again, that's a perception. Validate the accuracy of it first. My second set of questions then get into the dispatch and the communications. So half of the candidates failed the opening ability to communicate test. I don't know that's a test, right? But they failed that preliminary piece. I think you said 22 out of 45. Have we validated whether that's an accurate barometer of the work or not? That just seems like a huge failure rate.
So that is actually the pre-screening typing test. That is only the ability to type a certain number of words without error or with errors in a lot of time period. That is only for that particular portion of it, and that is a big part of it. As you well know, you have to be able to get that information out accurate. I think our dispatchers do a great job of doing that, and to change that process, I think would probably be detrimental to our men and women in uniform.
I thought it was the oral communication.
No, sir. This
Whatever
is
might be
only a pre-screening typing test for dispatchers, and what they saw is that they were front loading it with other things, and the typing test was later on in the hiring process, and then we were losing people on the back end. A lot of work was being lost in
That
that.
again seems counterintuitive in today's world, right? My generation, you had to take a typing class if you wanted to learn how to type, right? A typewriter. In today's world where everybody uses computers to type, you would think, anyway, just counterintuitive to me. I don't know why I said that. It just doesn't seem society would be, that would be a skill detriment in society.
It's without errors.
It's without errors?
Oh, I think they
Scratch me
allot.
then.
I think they allot some errors. I'm not sure how many that is, but yeah, there are errors in there.
Anything else for the captain? Thanks, sir. Nicely done.
Thank you.
First shot.
Colonel Lord, help me out on this. Okay, a lot of this pre-screening that we're doing for communications is to make sure that we don't pass them through to start field training, where at some point during field training, they realize, or our field trainers realize that they're not going to make it. So now we put all of that time into what they're doing, whereas we've had we done more pre-training, they probably wouldn't have gotten that far.
That's correct. So this is something that we've been looking at. What Captain Morgan was referring to is called the critical system. The critical, one component of critical actually measures 12 areas. One component of that is typing. But we use a critical system to kind of front screen everyone, and then there's an interview process. And we're kind of looking at all these. I can give you examples of what critical looks like.
No, thank you. It was my misunderstanding. I thought the screening out was for verbal communication and stuff like that. That's why I asked the question. The typing piece, among other things that we're pre-screening for, makes great sense. Does it, not throwing solutions at you, but maybe we should have typing classes. If we're losing half of our candidates, maybe we ask them to, anyway, I'll butt out. You've heard. Thank you. Makes sense to pre-screen.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a little update on our PAL situation. Probably about the first week of June, we started our North County summer camp for PAL up in North County. We also had one scheduled for the South County, and at some point, the South County camp was canceled. And that camp was canceled on the preconceived thoughts that we wouldn't be able to carry on that PAL camp with personnel. It was canceled with that preconceived thought, whoever canceled it, okay? I think I know in the media, they said that we were gutting PAL. We're not gutting PAL. When we reallocated people from PAL to go to the precincts to help us out with patrol, we never intended to cut PAL projects. We were going to use other resources to help the remaining PAL people to continue the PAL projects. But I think that camp was canceled with the people who canceled it not knowing that. And there was some media information about the fact that we were gutting PAL, and we're not. If you look at the new organizational chart that you're getting today to look over, you'll see that PAL has been moved to special operations. And if we run into a shortage of personnel, Now they're right there in the division where we can pull people from SRU, from highway safety to help assist us in putting on PAL programs. So it will continue. We, as far as the South County PAL program, we have made some things possible for the kids in South County. It's not going to be a 5-6 week everyday program for them. Sergeant Gillian has is working with the Bayless School District, and they're doing a program called the School Summer Journey. And our PAL people are going to help them put these people through the summer camp that they do. And that's going to be for 3 Fridays straight. They're going to do that. After that's done, Bayless is going to put out an announcement to Bayless children, the Bayless School District, highlighting something they're going to do further throughout the first week of August with summer camps for the kids in Bayless, and our PAL people will be assisting them with that. From that point on, starting next year, PAL will be PAL as it always has been, and we'll have the resources. It will make the resources to make sure that both of these camps happen. So we have made up to a point getting something done for these kids in South County. And as a matter of fact, when all of this was highlighted about us gutting PAL, I got a call from Catherine Osborne, RBC, wanting to assist us in any way that they could to make sure that we did something for the South County kids. And also a call from Dr. Art McCoy, who works with RBC, who again was offering resources to help us do mainly personnel to help us carry on the South County PAL. And I told them that we were okay with the financial part of it. There may be a need down the road to where I may come back to them and ask them for personnel resources in carrying on this summer camp for the South County kids. So that's where we are with PAL. It's not being gutted. We had to reallocate some people to help us in patrol, and we kept PAL people in there, and we have other resources based on what you see now there with the new organizational chart to help us carry on PAL projects.
Questions for the chief? Make sure we heard it properly then. We are not eliminating PAL.
No, sir. Let me say that. Let me say this. At this point, we're not eliminating PAL. You know, there may be a call for us to have to do that based on what county council is asking of us to give up bodies. We're not at this point.
Thank you for more accurately saying it. We're not giving up PAL. We're not eliminating PAL at this point. Secondly, neither you nor your command staff were the ones who made this change to the South County program. It was somebody deeper in the department in PAL who made it, and I assume has subsequently left the organization.
They canceled the camp. They got rid of all PAL data. We couldn't find out the kids who had been there. It was all gotten rid of, and no, we knew nothing about it.
Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly for now, we do have a South County program going for the children.
Yes, sir. It's not going to be as extensive as it has been in the past. As a matter of fact, it's not going to even encompass a lot of the people, the kids in South County. Right now, we're working with the Bayless School District to bring those kids into some type of activities for the summer.
And the fourth is maybe a bit of a blessing, which is in the future, there are resources to assist PAL if we need them.
Exactly. With the fact that they're being moved to special operations, there are other resources that we can bring in to carry on these
Including
projects.
outside, I mean, you have
And
two
including, like I
organizations
said,
that
I informed Catherine Osborne and Dr. McCoy that, don't take their offer away from me, because I may be hitting you up in the future. So, and they're more than willing to do so.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
This is our first time to see you up here as a Lieutenant Colonel, yes?
Yes, it is, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I wanted to update you on CIT and kind of what we're doing in the CIU unit. First, I wanted to say I've been here a short time, so I was extremely impressed with what Captain Romo and Sergeant Hokamp have done with this program. I didn't know a lot of this, but the CIT program started in 2003. Currently, we're staffing 510 CI officers and supervisors. St. Louis County has trained 7,000 CIT officers throughout the region, statewide. We're internationally known, and the state of Missouri considers us the gold standard of CIT models. Currently, Sergeant Hokamp is the CIT coordinator. He's president of the St. Louis area CIT program. He's the crisis negotiator team supervisor. He's also co-chair of the statewide CIT reporting system, which is being built in-house by CARE, which is extremely important. He's also going to be the next regional CIT coordinator statewide. There's only 7 of them. So our model is deep-rooted in this state and widely thought of as the gold model. Part of that is because in 2017, we started working with clinicianers, and our clinicianers are considered master level, which means that allows them to do an on-site assessment when they're out on a call. We currently work with 6 of the clinicianers. 5 of them work on adult cases. 1 of them works on youth cases. Those clinicians are currently staffed from BJC, BHR, ARCA, and soon to be SSM. Every Monday morning, the police officers and the clinicians get together and triage all the CIT cases. At this point, this is when they determine if there's going to be a face-to-face visit with the folks or if there's going to be a phone call. But they triage this with the clinicians and the staff at several of those hospitals. Over the last 5 years, we've averaged 3,970 CIT calls with 1,324 reports per year. And every one of those reports will be contacted via face or by phone. The CIT officers are involved in 40% less uses of force than with untrained CIT officers. So that's a really important stat. So recently, the chief gave Special Operations a grant proposal. So we came up with the idea of intertwining CIT with the LEADS program, which is the diversion of small drug cases. There was a lot of overlap, and it involves the Wesley Bell's office. So what we're going to do is try to hire 6 more clinicians and 2 more police officers. The grant needs to be regional. So, and St. Charles County is the one that passed it off to the chief. So we want to hire 1 clinician for St. Charles County, 1 clinician for St. Louis City, and 4 for St. Louis County. That would put 1.7 million people under the umbrella of a CIT program. We would like to also put clinicians in dispatching. We've seen that model in Houston, and it's very effective. What would happen is a call would come in. If it was a person in danger, the clinician would take that phone call and then turn that over to what's called a diversion or a 988 number through BJC. And if it's not violent, not in having a weapon, then they would send a group immediately out to intervene.
Accompanied by an officer.
No, not for those. That would be by themselves for that one. If it's nonviolent, no weapons. This is a very popular subject right now. So the MacArthur Foundation is sending 5 to 6 people down to Houston to look at their model. Pat Hokamp will be going to that as well. Let's see.
So would the clinician sit in dispatch?
Yes.
Physically in dispatch?
Yes. And that's really what I have. I can answer as many questions as you guys have, and hopefully I can answer them today.
Is the concept 24/7?
I don't think we're going to have the staffing for 24/7. I think what we would do is we average about 10 to 12 reports a day of CIT on average. And what we would do is look at the data and see where they'd be most useful and make that shift where we would place them.
First, deep thanks to Sergeant Hokamp for all his leadership within the department, across the community, across the state, it sounds like. So, Sergeant, thank you very much. And certainly, what a great concept that we've had around now for, would we hear you say, 6 years?
Yes.
Wonderful. you're right, the one stat caught my personal attention of 40% less uses of force, and we know the appropriate sensitivity we all have around that, so that's just great to hear. I think my only comment would be just the add-on, which is it sounds like we're taking quite a strategic approach to how we use clinicians and officers together, or not, in order to better assist our citizens when they're at points of crisis, so, wow, well done.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
That is, are there any plans to expand the program to 24 hours a day?
I think there could be an opportunity next year to get additional grant funding. This grant was given to us 5 days before it was due. So we kind of put it together kind of quickly. I do think there'll be more funding next year through that same grant. The state of Missouri really coordinates a lot of information with Sergeant Pat Hokamp, and they're the ones that facilitate this grant. So I think we have a lot of opportunity.
What is your perception of the buy-in from St. Charles?
I'll talk to Chief Kurt Friz. I think that's who we'd coordinate with.
Okay.
I think if we were the ones sponsoring that clinician and it was through SSM, I know there's a need, and I think he'd be a willing partner.
How about the city?
I think the city would be willing to work, especially we're giving them a resource. So I think, and they're into,
City has a model though, right?
yeah, they have a model, but we would be expanding and collaborating with the city in this way.
Has the grant and/or state articulated what kind of data they're expecting to receive on this?
They didn't want any data at this point. I think they want to see a model. There's no really, and our model's more standardized over the last 6 years. So I think they'll be able to get data points from us and maybe require that in their grant application next year.
Have we thought about what kind of data we're going to keep?
Yes, ma'am. So that care reporting system, we're working currently with Dr. Cunningham to get clinical data in there as well that she would like, our current data, and we'll be able to track that data.
Do we have any sense of what we would consider to be success?
Well, I'll give you an instance. We're involved with these hospitals in something called the Beacon model, and I can't describe it completely for you. But what this model does is we take a person from crisis, and then we get them the help they need through the clinicians. And we're doing that with the hospital so closely that they're seeing 75% less people going through the emergency room because we're helping with food services or telephone services or all kinds of different services we're providing so they don't have to go to the emergency rooms. That's one data point.
Sorry, didn't have one that popped into my head. You used the descriptor, the educational experience descriptor, and said our clinicians are all master's level.
Yes.
Is there a significance as to why you made sure that we heard master level?
It's very important. Reason being, if you're at a bachelor level, you can ride with the police officer, but you can't give an assessment. So we're just basically taking somebody out there just to take them out there. They have to call and report what their findings are to somebody else to get an assessment. But if you have a master level, they can give an assessment on scene and we can start getting the resources they need then.
Thank you. Big difference.
Yes. We only have master level.
Finding 6 clinicians seems like a big task.
We've already been working on that. SSM wants to provide several. So does BJC. And I think BHR would like to have one too. So
I'm with you. Still sounds like a huge task, particularly the need in today's society.
It does, but it also sounds like we have a huge amount of buy-in from our healthcare.
yes, there's a very good partnership. I'm going to meet with them on the 26th. I want to see how this process works with how they triage these cases. And Dr. Cunningham's going to come with me, and we're going to start strategizing on how we do all those other things with the grant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Obviously, in the department this size, there's a lot of purchasing and supplies that we need on a regular basis. And you guys might not know about how we do that.
Use the microphone. Okay. Sorry.
For the audience.
For the audience.
Right. Sorry, Jennifer. Obviously, as I was saying, department this size, there's a lot of purchasing that needs to be done, whether it's vehicles, supplies on a daily basis. And you might not know how this is done. Hopefully, we can give you an upside on how this is done. And when I brought in Brian Slattery, I just want to give you that information. Brian, welcome to the mic.
Commissioners, please bear with me. I don't do this kind of thing very often, so.
Take a deep breath.
I did have a short I did have a short PowerPoint, so I'm gonna get that set up.
Brian, while you're getting it set up, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long with the department?
I've been with the department since 2008.
2008.
And I've been in the unit since 2013.
And what did you do for those first?
I started in care in the report unit. I was there for 5.5 years.
Good
before I
place to
came.
start.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to double click it again.
Yeah,
There you go.
Unlike Captain Morgan, he brought his PowerPoint.
Captain, you can.
I'm a visual guy. I kind of like to bring something. So, all right. I run the vehicle and supply unit. We're a small unit in the Division of Operational Support. I report directly to Lieutenant Colonel Lohr. And in the most general sense, we are responsible for a lot of the ground level administrative functions relating to purchasing and several other items for the department. I kind of refer to us as kind of the union station for the place. We take in a lot of raw requests and things like that. We turn it into what it needs to be and then send it where it's supposed to go. So in the most general sense, we are responsible for managing the purchasing for the entire department, both goods and services. There are certain exceptions, but in general, we handle the bulk of it. We work very closely with county procurement, and as a county department, the police department is required to conduct our purchasing in accordance with county's Chapter 107 procurement code. And so that is our job to make sure that we are the experts in that, and that everything that we are buying is in accordance with those rules. So the Chapter 107 allows us several methods in how to conduct the purchases, and I won't bore you with the details of them, but just so you have some awareness, they include official bid solicitations. Sometimes for lower dollar items, we can do informal kinds of quotes or solicitations. There's also occasionally sole source, and we also make use of a lot of purchasing contracts, both ones that county is a part of, and other sources of contracts, what we call cooperatives, that we can make use of. And those are, they ensure fair pricing for the users of the contracts, both ours and the co-ops. As part of that function, we are also responsible for administration of the county contracts that we are a part of, especially the ones that relate to us. Mostly we handle ones just for us, but there are a few that we handle for the county at large. Like ammunition is one, for example, that other county departments use our contract to make their purchases. As part of the purchasing function, a big pillar of our operation is that we manage the vehicles, or the department's vehicle fleet. We get a lot of help with this from people in the department and other county departments, but in general, we are responsible for the purchasing of the new vehicles. We acquire the equipment, the lights, the sirens, the hardware that goes into these vehicles. We're mainly responsible for determining which vehicles are going to be replaced with new ones, and any repurposing that goes on with other vehicles that still have some life left in them. We coordinate the installation of all that equipment when the new cars come in, and also making sure that the cars get their marking decals when that's applicable. We're responsible for the inventory and kind of identification of these cars. You see a car, we see a number on a car that says, say, Adam 1 and 103. we're responsible for assigning those numbers and making sure that all those things are correct. We coordinate the repairs of cars that are in accidents in coordination with both people in the department and with our contracted body shop. We administer license plates and tabs for any cars that are unmarked and need those. And it's a small level, but we do have a handful of leased vehicles that we use for various purposes, and we're responsible for doing that. In a more general sense, outside of fleet, we are kind of the primary liaison with a few county departments, such as purchasing and transportation is a large one as well. We also work with Public Works and a couple of places like that as well, occasionally.
There's a lot on here. Forgive me for asking, how big is your unit?
We have 4 people.
4 people that do all this?
Yes. And I have a little section on that a little later.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get to it. Another one of our pillars in the acquisition side of things is that we're the primary place for uniforms and duty gear for officers and professional staff. So we manage that, and we're the primary liaison with the supplier. A lot of the ground level work is done at the supplier, but we are the ones that facilitate that relationship with them. Another one of the big items that we do is we handle the travel processing for the entire department whenever our employees are going somewhere or getting some kind of training, going to conferences, things like that. We're responsible for making sure that that is done in accordance with the county rules and getting all the right authorizations to make that all, operate well and be paid for. And it's some couple things in a smaller sense. We keep a stock of some supplies in our own unit. We have a small kind of warehouse area where people the department can come and collect all kinds of things, and just various things, nitrile gloves, traffic cones, anything like that of that nature. And we also keep a supply of some of the uniform things as well, so we get a lot of visitors. And we also administer the ammunition program for officers to practice with. So we get a lot of visitors from that. People coming to get their ammo. There are several other things, but I won't bore you with the details on those, but they're just some programs that we administer that don't take up a lot of time, but they are there that we have to be mindful of. So like I said, we have 4 people, and 3 of them were here today, and you met one already, besides me. But I supervise the unit. I'm responsible for the overall operation. I'm also considered the department's fleet manager, so I have overall responsibility for all those items that I described to you before. All the members are responsible for the processing of these purchases. And in a very brief, how it works is there's an internal request made. We have forms for it that goes through the chain of command for approval of a purchase of some sort. Makes it to the chief's desk, and once he approves it, then it comes to us. And then we take it and we turn it into what county government wants to see in order to make things official. So we run that average. We kind of make the meat in that sense. And all members of this unit are involved in that to some degree or another. And a couple other things, I manage the department's purchasing card program for small purchases. We have a lot of cards out there for use. And a couple other coordinating things that I handle. Ms. Jamie Pizzoni, who you just met, she is our new supply contracts administrator since we had a vacancy from a month ago when we lost one of our people to another promotion. She'll be doing a lot of what she already did, but her main thing is going to be administration of those purchasing contracts, the ones that the county is a part to. And it's mainly the initiation of them when they need a new one and also renewals when those need to be processed. She also does a lot of our purchase request processing, and she serves as my assistant fleet manager. So I'm trying to bring her along on that because I definitely need a backup.
When we purchase items, like let's say we're purchasing, I don't know, gloves. Do we get volume discounts because we purchase on large scales?
We often do. It often depends on just how much volume or what the vendor offers.
Okay.
It's often based on what the contract is. A big portion of our purchasing is through existing contracts. And so that's often that discount right there because it's already been competitively bid and priced. And on occasion, there are some other opportunities for getting volume discounts. It just kind of depends on what the volume is and what the product is and what the vendors can do.
Your unit is responsible for tracking. We've met, this threshold. If there is some
Yes.
sort of opportunity.
Yes. Yes. Our third member who was here today, but I don't think we get to meet him, is Tim Devine. He's kind of our quartermaster, and he's
waving his hand.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Tim. He is the uniform and duty gear guru. He is an institution in this department. We're very appreciative to have him here for so long. Among other things, he also does some of our purchasing, processing, but he's also our primary liaison with the uniform supplier. And he is in contact with them daily, many, many times. It's the biggest part of his job. He also coordinates the repair of our vehicles when they're in accidents. And our fourth spot is currently vacant. We hope to have a new addition to the unit very soon. But they are the person who's their travel coordinator, so that'll be their primary responsibility, is managing all that travel. We have a lot of it. We average around 24 requests a month. So it's a pretty constant, there's a pretty constant churn in that operation. And they'll also be responsible for some of the more basic purchasing processing as they learn things. And then kind of maintaining our stocks of our supplies that we keep in the unit will be the biggest thing.
Is that the role that Jamie was promoted from?
Yes, she was there.
Hence the chief's question about signing off on our travel. We get it now. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
Can we go back for a minute? I'm gonna sidetrack us for just a second.
Absolutely.
Quartermaster, that's just a cool title.
I love the term.
Yeah,
I
do we
like
have
to
any
use it.
idea what the etymology of quartermaster?
I kind of like it because of the James Bond Association. So Tim is our Q.
Tim is our Q. All right, thank you.
We also call him uniform supply. That's kind of how he describes
That
himself.
doesn't sound as cool as Q.
Yeah. I like Q. When someday I'm going to start actually calling it that. And then here I just have a few numbers if for your interest. Our current replacement budget for cars is about $2.6 million. And with that, we operated, our total number of vehicles is about 835 right now. And that's everything. That's all patrol cars, vans, trucks, specialty vehicles, everything. And the marked patrol type vehicles, that's the ones that you see on the road. And I'm not including every last one, but that's both the cars that are in patrol and like special operations that drive a marked car, like tactical officers or highway safety, things like that. So I'm including those in that count. And I put a few others just because, like, say the crime scene vans are the ones that you see in the news often whenever there's a report on a crime. We currently buy the Ford Explorer police vehicle. That's our primary police vehicle. We have occasionally bought others as needed, and there's different uses for different models, but in general, that is our primary police vehicle right now. And we have all kinds of other specialty vehicles that you can see at the bottom, things like we have a couple bucket lift trucks and several ATVs and things like that. Onto the uniform side, we expend about $800,000 a year with our uniform supplier for everything, and that includes all uniforms for both officers and professional staff. It includes body armor. It includes the leather gear and other types of personal equipment that they have. We have about approximately 40 purchasing contracts. These are the county contracts that we are a party to, and those are the ones that we administer, and they're for all kinds of things. Like I said, ammunition was one before. Scientific instrument maintenance. The crime lab has a lot of very expensive instruments that they use to do their job, and that all requires maintenance to be kept in top operation. And so there's a lot of contracts on those kinds of things. And the travel side, our current budget this year for travel overall across all divisions was at $292,000. And we also have some asset forfeiture funds that we use as a supplement for the budgeted ones are more directed at recurring annual things, an annual conference, things like that, things that are required for certifications. And then the asset funds are typically used more for an opportunity came up where someone can get some good training. And so that's kind of what those funds are used for. There's several other sources of funds for the travel, but those are the two primary ones that we use. And that's really about all I had, unless you had any other questions for me.
answered just about all of mine with your second slide. So I want to know how big the team was. I want to know how much money's moving through your department when it looks like about 4 million. What's our vehicle expense? What's the largest couple of expenses? You hit all mine. So Brian, thank you. And your team too. Thank you all.
Sure.
Thank you. You make the wheels turn, literally. So.
We do our best. We try to do this stuff so everyone else doesn't have to worry about it.
Thank you for teaching us.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Great job. I think I have the last part of the chief's report, and it's pretty much just an update on our capital projects. I'll start with Precinct 3. This is information I got from Kevin Underwood as to where they are with these projects that are going on. I asked them to give me a quarterly update on where they are with these projects. Precinct 3, underground site work is completed. Footing, foundations, and slabs completed. Masonry walls almost completed. Structural steel will start erection in a few days. This was from June 7th. The project is overall 35% complete. Completion date is estimated January 9th, 2024. That's the third precinct. First precinct, rough grading is almost 80% complete. Underground utilities are currently going in. Footing and foundations are completed. Slab installation will start soon. Masonry will start in July. The project is overall 8% complete with a completion date of March 30th, 2024. Police intelligence, property control, precinct 2, gun range repairs. Design contract for the architect, Gemma, is fully executed. Project planning and design meeting will start the week of June 19th. Site survey, geotechnical and environmental testing will be ongoing in June and July. Bid documents will be ready to bid the projects in April 2024. The $23 million in state funds will be expended by June 2026. The project will be completed in December of 2026. So that's where we are with the capital projects that are going on. Projected dates, obviously, that Kevin Underwood is giving me.
Captain Means, happened to see him before the session today. He showed me a couple of pictures of the Southwest County precinct that look really neat and how much progress they've made. And I know he and Cavaletti are working closely to share ideas. And
No, they're not.
It's great.
No, they're not.
All right.
No, Captain Means makes it a point to bring the pictures of his precinct to show Cavaletti how far ahead they are of his
The
precinct.
truth comes out.
Yes, that's what it's all about. So anyway, that is the report on those capital projects, and that's all I have for the chief's report.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Very good. Thank you, Chief. Next topic on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, May 9th, 2023. They were in our packet. May we have a motion to approve the May 9th, 2023 Board of Director meeting minutes?
I move we approve those minutes.
Second.
Any further conversation on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Minutes are approved from the May 9 meeting. Letters and communications. Diana, any incoming communications?
I have one.
Oh, okay.
This letter was from Sister Kathleen Donovan, and she has a real interest in, she says she's concerned about racism and gun violence that the Daily News carries, and she's really interested in what the department is doing in terms of training. Let me see. She recommends a book, and she is, she says, my desire for racial justice for all has been intensified these past 3 years. It's been, and she talks about the author of the book. So I will be giving a response, but wanted to share that with the board.
Does that response best come from you, or should that response
I'll
come?
have help with the response.
Well, I'm just meant, how do we make sure that,
Yeah.
yes. And is she aware at all of some of the things we're doing already, or?
It doesn't sound like it, and so it'd be helpful
Okay.
for us to craft a letter to her to help her understand what is happening at this point.
Very good, thank you. Anything else from an incoming communication standpoint? An outgoing? Very good. Old business? Does not appear to be any. All right, we will move to new business, which are contracts.
Right past the police memorial tournament. He's gonna roll right past that. That's okay. Nothing, sir.
I mean, that could be new business.
That could be new
Before
business.
we even get into contract. Make the announcement.
New business, is there something you would like to mention, Richard, about golf or anything? Is that where you were headed? Or?
Oh, no.
No.
It was, I think all had a great time at the police memorial tournament, held last Monday. I'm not sure who won.
Oh, yes, you are. But there were several winners depending on the flight, right? I'm scanning the room. I think they had a couple of winners in here, but nonetheless.
That's true.
Nonetheless. All right, we have 9 contracts to approve. 8 of them are for the CMPA, and one is, I guess you'd call it a technology-related contract, so it is not CMPA-related. For the sake of working through these, I'm going to suggest we do the first 5 and then the second 4. Is that all right?
Works.
Very good. The first contract is a professional service agreement with CP Crime Scene Consulting and Seminars LLC. It is a new contract with the CMPA for an instructor to teach a program entitled Advanced Technical Crime Scene Photography on August 9th, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $1,200. The second is a professional service agreement with IXII Group, Inc. It is a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Communications Training Officer on August 8th through the 11th of 2023 at a cost not to exceed $6,000. The third is a professional service agreement with the Highway Interdiction Training Specialist, Inc. It is a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Crime Patrol Drug Interdiction on August 21st and 22nd, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $6,000. The fourth is a professional service agreement with Randy Means and Associates LLC. It is for a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Managing Police Ethics, Liability Prevention, and Risk Management on August 9th, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $2,500. And the last in this group is a professional service agreement also with Randy Means and Associates LLC for a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Strategic Planning for Law Enforcement on August 10th, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $2,500. May we have a motion to approve the 5 professional services agreements for the CMPA?
I move that we approve these contracts for the CMPA.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion or conversation on these 5 contracts for the CMPA? All in favor?
I
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those are approved. The last 4 contracts, again, 3 are for the CMPA, 1 is a separate contract. The first of this next batch is a professional service agreement with Donald J. Van Meter and Associates, Inc. It is a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Quota Free Police Productivity System on August 31, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $2,900. The next is a professional service agreement with Professional Law Enforcement Training, LLC. It is a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Social Networking on August 14 and August 15, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $5,500. The next is a professional service agreement with Professional Law Enforcement Training, LLC. It is a new contract for an instructor to teach a program entitled Patrol Officer Drug Investigations on July 20th and 21st, 2023 at a cost not to exceed $5,550. And the last is a professional service agreement with Waycare Technologies, Inc. It is a new contract between St. Louis County Police Department and the Missouri Department of Transportation, MoDOT, which contracts with Waycare Technologies to send specific CAD data to their system. This data would include any traffic-related calls for service to better aid MoDOT in their ability to respond and assist for incidents on the highway. Waycare will pay the CAD vendor, Logisys, directly for this interface per sections 3A III. May we have a motion to approve the 3 CMPA agreements and this 1 professional service agreement with Wayfair Technologies?
I move that we approve these agreements.
Second.
Any further discussion on these 4 agreements? All in favor of approving, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we have 9 new contracts. Thank you very much. Captain Shellman, I'm going to ask a 2-minute favor. You can come up, but I need a personal break, so I will be back in 2 minutes. You're welcome to have at it. If you have any stand-up jokes, or the chief, well, Schneider's not here, so we don't have to worry about the microphone, right?
Should we all just take a 2-minute break?
Yeah, let's all
Okay,
take 2 minutes.
Maybe a 5-minute break?
5 would be
5-minute
good.
break? Yeah, thank you.
Great.
I didn't mean to slow the process down, but that's okay. Later in the morning.
I gotta go with you.
All right. Thank you. Sounds like we're back on record. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate your indulgence, and a quick 5-minute break for us.
No problem at all. All right, so today we have 2 general orders up for your review. The first one is General Order 15, secondary off-duty employment. Revisions include the separation of secondary and off-duty employment, as well as the implementation of a new software called Roll Call, where all of our secondary employment will be housed when that goes into effect. After having a chance to review and look over General Order 15, are there any questions, comments, or concerns?
No.
No, sir.
All right, thank you. And the second one is General Order 22, Department Organization. Revisions to this policy include the relocation of several work elements to other divisions or existing bureaus and units, and some minor name changes. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding General Order 22?
Does not appear to be so. Make it sure. All right.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Very good. And it looks like both are canceling both a general order and a special order. So we're getting rid of special orders and combining those into these 2 general orders.
That is correct. Yep.
Updated
Anytime a
general
new revision to a general order, we incorporate those special orders, so those would be canceled.
Special orders canceled. Very good. Thank you. All right, we'll take them one at a time. May we have a motion to approve Department General Order 23-12, which is the general order on secondary/off-duty employment.
I move that we,
It's 23.05.
2315.
15.
What did I say?
12.
Sorry. General Order 2315. We have a motion.
motion
Okay, we have a second.
I second.
Any further conversation on General Order 2315? Can we do this roll call, or is this just a voice vote? Voice vote. All in favor of approving revised General Order 2315, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So approved. May we have a motion to approve General Order 23022? It is on department reorganization.
I move that we approve General Order 23022.
second.
Any further conversation on General Order, the edits on General Order 23022? All in favor of approving General Order 23-022, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Those have both passed. So now we have a procedural question. So what happens with the department reorganization? What's next steps when we approve a new org structure?
Obviously, that organization will go out department-wide. Everybody will be advised of the new operation, the positions that they're in. And again, it's just a matter of relocating some divisions to other, some units to the division where they're more appropriate. For a long time, the academy had been under special operations, and that's where it had been. But when we made the human resource position, I'll be honest with you, we were just trying to give human resource some units to work with. And we put the academy there, we put community engagement there, and now they're moved to where they're going to benefit us more because they're in a different location. As I mentioned, with the special operations, them assisting us with PAL. So it's pretty much just the way that the department's going to run from a division standpoint.
No impact to budgeting, meaning
No, sir.
dollars don't have to be moved
No.
from one area of the budget to another area in order to accommodate a reorg.
No, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Anything from a public forum perspective? Thank you. The Board of Police Commissioners may vote to go into closed session for legal advice and review of claims and lawsuits involving the police department, Section 610.0211 RSMO and Section 114.02011 SLCRO, and discussion of employee and personnel matters, Sections 610.0213 and 13 RSMO, and Sections 114.0201, 3, and 13 SLCRO. May we have a motion to move to closed session?
I move that we go into closed session.
May we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes, please.
Commissioner Ashworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwerin?
Yes.
We are in closed session. Thank you all. Have a good day for those of you who aren't going to stick around for when we come back. We are back from closed session. We had one vote in closed session, and that was return to open session. And that vote was unanimous individually and collectively. We have one other topic left on the agenda, and that is a topic about our next meeting. As we've talked before, and as we actually executed on a couple of weeks ago. Pardon me? I just did.
Oh, no, to open this, you have to do a vote to open, to come back.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, we did it.
Yeah, he said that.
Did I not just say that? I'm sorry. I'm
You did.
confused.
No, you said we had a vote to go back into open session and we all voted.
Now my head's being. Very good. No, I may have missed it. Who knows?
Are you confusing our chair?
Yeah, apparently so, right? I thought I just said that. We have one topic left, and that is about our meeting in July to set the stage for this conversation. Due to scheduling conflicts on our normal day to meet, we have decided to move into some of the communities that we serve and have board meetings there in the evenings. And so the July timeframe would be the next time we had earmarked to have a community-based board meeting. We've tentatively scheduled July 12th for that board meeting. Are we okay with July 12th still?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And are we okay doing it in this case, South County?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe it's been tentatively booked for
The pavilion.
We
in
may.
May.
the Pavilion at Lee. Thank you. Would you care to do the address too? No, I'm kidding.
No,
That's
I
fine.
will
The
not.
Pavilion at Lee. The starting time for that would be 4:30, but what we would like to do is have an emotion around that since we're all still comfortable with it July 12th and doing it down in Lee, or at least in the Pavilion at Lee. So the motion would be the police commissioners may vote to hold a closed meeting for legal advice and review of claims lawsuits involving the police department, section 610.0211 RSMO and sections 114.020.11 SLCRO, and discussions of employee and personnel matters, sections 610.0213 and 13 RSMO and sections 114.020.13 and 13 SLCRO. I will ask for a motion, but the motion is to open our July 12th, to begin our July 12th meeting in closed session, just as this motion says. At the conclusion of our closed session, we will then move right into our normal, regularly scheduled meeting. So it is a special meeting on July 12th.
So
Is that clear?
somewhat.
Okay. Clean it up for
I
me.
will move that we have a special meeting at 4:30 that will be a closed meeting for the purposes that you just articulated. And that we move to close that meeting right now, that special meeting right now.
Okay, no roll call.
Now, but that's okay, whatever it is.
I move that the four of us show up to a special meeting at 4:30 on July 12th at the Pavilion at Lime.
That will begin with closed
And that
session.
we vote right now to go into closed session for that special meeting.
Yes, yes, yes. I'd like to.
Okay. Is that clearer?
Yes.
Okay. For the
For the
purposes
purpose
that
of
we're
those
just.
I would second that motion
All
that
right.
you just made.
Any further discussion on that? All right.
And I
Amy,
think
would
we
you
have to do a
take-
roll
yeah,
call
Amy,
on
would
it.
you
Okay.
start?
Commissioner
Diana?
Ashworth,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwerin?
Yes.
Thank you, Diana. Anything else for the day? May we have a motion then to adjourn this meeting?
I move that this meeting be adjourned, the Board of Police Commissioners be adjourned.
I second that motion.
I don't know. Okay.
I'm with Richard. I have about 12 other things to talk about. It might take us another couple hours.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Ashworth?
Yes.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwerin?
Yes.
We are adjourned.